Good morning, learners. I want us to look at food and beverage purchasing, which is a function. And we say purchasing is a function concerned with the search, selection, purchase, receipt, storage, and final use of a commodity in accordance with the catering policy. Why? If you look at the purchasing, we have quoted the word search. You need to go and search the product. You need to select the new purchase, and you receive the items that you have purchased. You store, you issue, and final use of the commodities. Now that is the function. Then there is importance of purchasing. The purchasing function is important in the control cycle with no specification for commodities. You'll not be able to know what you are purchasing. That's why we have standard purchase specification that help us to know what we have purchased. And also, without purchasing function, the receiving department will not be able to know what they are receiving. In which way? Because in purchasing is when we give the quantities, and it is when we give the qualities that need to be purchased. And also, the work in storage department, it will be difficult. Why? Because they don't know what they are going to receive and what to expect. So they will just be receiving non-standardized commodities. Now, having looked at the importance of purchasing, we look at the main duties of a purchasing manager. A purchasing manager is a person who is in charge of the purchasing. So, the purchasing manager is responsible for management of the purchasing office, the receiving office, storage and seller areas. The storage is for storage of the dry goods, and for seller is for storage of beverages. Number two, the purchasing of all commodities. The purchasing manager is in charge of purchasing of all commodities. Number three, ensuring continuity of supply of all items to user departments. And number four, finding cheaper for some quality and more efficient source of supply, such that you don't buy items that are expensive. You look for someone who is selling them at a cheaper price that you can be able to achieve, but should be of high quality. Another thing is that keeping up to date with the markets, being dealt with, and evaluating new products, because there are new changes that are happening in each day. There are new products that are being brought in each day. So we need, the purchasing manager needs to ensure that he or she is buying the materials that have to the market. And also, he is the one to do the research into products and also the markets and the price trends. For example, there is a price fluctuation, so you need to do that. And also liaising with the production, control, accounts and marketing department. And finally, reporting to senior management. Having done that, there is a purchasing officer now. We have looked at the purchasing manager. The purchasing officer responsibility is number one, seeks the required items from them. If the hotel, the kitchen personnel, the chef will write a requisition concerning the materials that they want. Number two, select the most suitable supplier from many, because there will be many suppliers who will be supplying different items. So you need to do a comparison. And also, he enters into the contract with the supplier. After selecting that supplier, now you need to enter in a contract with the supplier. And also, ensure good delivered are correct in quality, quantity, and prices. Number five, ensure items are transferred to the ordering department or correctly stored and later issued. And number six, follow up with the user department to ensure the goods were satisfactory. So those are the responsibility of a purchasing manager. Now, there are sources of food and beverage supply. The main source of food and beverage supply is purchasing research. And when we're doing the purchasing research, we're looking at the market and materials or commodities that are in the market. So you're doing a research on that. Then after looking at the materials and the commodities, now you do cost analysis of what you have gathered. Now, having looked at the sources of food and beverage supply, now we look at the purchasing procedure. Purchasing procedure is very important for you learner to know how it goes. The first thing that you need to do is you write a purchase requisition. What we mean by purchase requisition Purchase requisition, it is a document that requests the purchasing department to buy stated items or items for the requisitioning department. Now, as the learners, where do you get the purchase requisition? After formulating the menu that you have formulated, you write a food order list, and from that food order list is where we get the purchase requisition. Now, the purchasing requisition will contain the following details. It will contain the details of goods required, exact color, size, and quality. Number 2, it will contain the quantity required in terms of kilograms, crates, and also liters. And also it contains, if the item must be bought from a specific supplier, the name of the supplier should be indicated. And finally, should have a signature of the officer in charge. That is the first procedure of purchasing. The second procedure of purchasing is the selection of the source of supply. And when we are looking at the selection of the source of supplier, we are looking at LPO, which is local purchase order. If the order is being made within our country, and if it is outside our country, it is called external or foreign purchase order. Now that is the selection of the source of supply. Number 3, entering into a contract with the supplier. Having identified the supplier and selected him or her, now you enter into contract with that supplier. Number 4, step 4, receipt of the goods from supplier. Now you need to receive those items from the supplier, and when you are delivering those items from the supplier when delivering those items, the item should be accompanied by a document called delivery note. And there is another document which is called advice note if goods are being delivered through public transport, not the owners, the supplier's vehicle. So a advice note is given. There is a package sheet if the items are being packed in many sheets. So a package sheet should be accompany the goods such that if it is the circuit of the salt, they can be known how many they are in a packet. Then, in any case, the goods that have been delivered and are not satisfactory, a rejection or return of goods is given. Now, this is given immediately when you receive that items and you realize that there is a mistake that goods needs to be returned. Now, if they are not, if you accept the items and when they are taken to the ordering department and the ordering department says that these items were not correct, another document which is called a credit transfer note is given to show that the goods have been rejected. Then, in step 4 is where the payment of supply comes in. Now here we have another document which is invoice. You will invoice the supplier so that the supplier can be paid. Number 5, there is transfer of goods to the ordering department or to the seller or the stores. Stores where the dry goods are kept, seller where the drinks are kept. Now that is the purchasing procedure. Now, having looked at the purchasing procedure, there is a basic information required from a new supplier. You have met this supplier. What are you required to know from this supplier? 1, you need to know full details of the farm. You want to ascertain that is this a true farm or is it just a fake one? Because people can formulate their own, have the document but they don't have their farm. It is just in the papers. So you need to get the full details of their farm. Number 2, information of other customers of their products, because this business, when it has been established, there are many customers who are bought from them. You also need to have printed copies of the recent price lists. How are they selling the product? Number 4, you need details of trading terms such as cash. Are you going to pay in cash or are you going to pay in a credit form? Then number 5, samples of product for testing and testing. Samples of product for testing and testing. And number 6, a visit to the new farm. You need to go to that farm and know where it is located. Now, having looked at the basic information required from a new supplier, we look at the supplier rating. How do you rate a supplier? You rate a performance. When we look at the price performance, we said that the cheapest item is not necessarily the best to buy. If you go to the market and you find that an item is being sold at a cheaper price, sometimes people have the notion that expensive things are the best, but sometimes you can have a supply which specializing on a low items products being sold at a cheaper price, and then there is another supplier specializing on a best quality products at a higher price. So when we are rating the supply using the price performance, we say the lower the price depending on quality, the higher price performance rating. Remember that we have talked about the quality. Then there is quality performance, and we say you cannot be able to see and say this is a quality product. You need to use the standard purchase specification to know the quality of that product. So we say that consistent in meeting the purchase specification would give a high. We look at the factors to consider when you are selecting a new supplier. If you select this supplier, what are you looking at? You look at the location. Where is this supplier located from? Do you want your product from Magweni, then you're in Nairobi? It will take a lot of time. Then there is quality of supplier staff. How are they? Are they disciplined? There is also honesty and fairness. Do you realize that this supplier is supplying you mangoes at 20 bob, then the mangoes you go to the market and you realize that they are being sold at 10? That supply is not honest and is not fairness. And then there is delivery personal appearance. Is this person clean? Because it is in hotel industry and we need our supplier, our delivery personnel to be clean, because our customers, we give them the first impression. They get the first impression when they enter in the hotel industry. Then it is also necessary to have the following information from the supplier: the total value of goods delivered by each supplier. You need to keep that record. Then the number of items rejected with their value, and number 3, the percentage value of goods rejected, and any late deliveries of goods with further particulars if necessary. In our next class, we look at the purchasing of foods.